right, hello everyone. I'm Paul, and we're going ahead. So we also had the theme of the nature of the quest and why we explore and seek these new frontiers. A big word that's been tossed around so far this weekend is epistemology. It's basically, why are we looking for knowledge? Why do we do this? What motivates us? What drives us to search for these things? There's a large amount of information at the beginning of your honors program note, actually. It covers people in medicine, talking about how you possibly advance life expectancy up to 120 in the future, or even just going back to Einstein, and how he's contradicting quantum mechanics and the multiverse and whatnot. So we decided to look at a couple of different things. We brainstormed for a bit, we shot some ideas around. There was a young boy actually that I believe developed a new way to check for pancreatic cancer, purely because his grandmother was suffering from pancreatic cancer. That's a motivating factor. They're the old explorers that search for new resources, funds money, all these different things that people have in common that are motivating factors. And then there's also the oddball scenarios. One thing I brought up to the group, which is a bit interesting, it's a bit unique. There's a farmer scientist that took DNA from the golden orb-eater spider, put the proteins from it into goats, and the goats lactated and produced milk. We would use chemistry and extract spider silk from it, which we then are using biomedical implants like ligaments. So they're basically 10 times stronger than we have now. So it's really hard to blow out an ear or anything. And so we come to all these different frontiers, all these different innovations, original ideas, creativity. And one that was discussed this weekend by Mr. Dennis Degley is actually the exploration of the frontier of education. For him, this was a frontier. He never thought he could go to college. And I look around the room, it's my first convention. I've met a lot of different interesting people. There's a lot of good backgrounds, a lot of different majors, a lot of age demographics. And we began researching into what are these motivating factors among us in the survey. So now I'm going to hand the mic off to my buddy Bonus over here. And
thank you, Paul. I want to throw a light on what you just said about epistemology. We are actually looking, when we talk about epistemology, we are looking on, I would say, core values. We are looking at things that push us, like what we know already. We are studying what we know already, and we are looking at the factors that push us to go ahead. We are looking at psychological factors, and we are also looking at cognitive factors, what we are thinking, what the stressors of the environment that push us. To throw more light on that, I would like to give examples on studies on things like cancer, or maybe stem cell research, or maybe other things. It doesn't matter. We know a lot about many things. We know a lot about stem cell research, but a lot is new right now. Because as we know more, the more we know, and the more resistant viruses or whatever they get to know our strategies, and they develop. So it is always necessary for us to go an extra mile from wherever we are. So biologists or biochemists, or it might be something on poverty. We know a lot about poverty. What pushes us to implement new strategies to fight poverty? What pushes us to want to change new laws? We know a lot about laws already. What gives us the guts to say, okay, it's okay, we made these laws about guns or whatever. Why do we have to change? What pushes us to want to change new laws about guns? So we want to talk about psychological factors like perception, motivation, inspiration. These are things that lie within us, and they come from, maybe I would say within and without, because sometimes we look at push factors and sometimes we look at pull factors. Push factors are the things around the environment that push us to want to do certain things. Pull factors are certain desires for maybe greatness. Some people just do it, as he said about his example he gave. Some people just do it for curiosity, to want to see what happens, maybe what next. They really never know. I would say they never do it for negative reasons, but they never we had to specify and because it's actually broad, so we had to pay more attention to educational frontier and why we spend more time trying to make a better education for ourselves. So I'll hand this over to my friend, Monique.
Alright, so that was all of our research. So we did all of that. We read a bunch of different articles. We tried to narrow it down to something really small and something we could really hone in on as far as our frontiers. So we went with education. So in order to try to figure out what motivated people, what influenced them, what drove them, what got them back in school, and what kept them, treading on after high school, we developed a survey. So we just asked them general questions, and we wanted to see if that took us anywhere as far as an action plan. So some of the questions were, what age range do you fall into? So we had some, a chart up there with our demographics. What is your educational history? High school, GED, dropout, do you have a degree? After that, what is your major? Why did you change it? What are your interests and hobbies outside of college? What obstacles have been the most prominent in your education? And who or what has influenced you and how? This is kind of biased because obviously based on our demographics from our survey, everyone was sort of right out of high school. So I think if you expanded this in an actual honors and action project, you would have, maybe different things happening up in here. But I'm going to give it to Nellie. She's going to give you our objectives and then where we went from that.
So I know everyone is tired, and I'm going to try and make this quick. Based on everything that we did, our purpose was to find the motive as to why people seek higher education. Why do people want to go back to school? Why do we want to be educated more? And basically we focus more on education and curiosity, like what happens if I stick a pen and pen into a pen, like we focus more on that. So that's it.
Now action. We're going beyond just putting a signature on a poster. When the students sign the commit to complete, they are signing a pledge to commit, and we're going to help them follow that and follow through.
Okay, so all of these frontiers, the issues, the solutions, all these honors and action projects that you guys have sat through, and we appreciate it. All of this discussion would be for naught if we don't complete our education and enter the workforce with the skills and knowledge that make a difference and affect positive and lasting change. With that being said, we need to understand that charity begins at home. So it needs to begin with your fellow captains in the room. Don't assume that just because your neighbor is PTK, that he or she doesn't have any concerns, because as we saw on the demographics, we do have concerns. And then once we network with each other to help each other with that, go outside. Don't just stick with, this cluster and don't assume that other people don't need help too. So we want to go, it's not a selfish initiative, we want everyone to succeed. The whole is only as good as its parts.
All right. So in conclusion, as you can see from our graph, that the majority of the polls of the people that was in our group have either a high school diploma or even got some college. So they achieved what is known to be as the basic level of education that every high schooler should be expected to match. But we are here at a community college, and so whether there must be a between whether you got out of high school and now you're here. And those are what we call obstacles or instances where it's very unfortunate for you guys for people to not actually complete or be able to go to a university. And so our notion of coming up with this survey is the fact that we all face obstacles. And the nature of the quest, it seems to go beyond what those obstacles are putting you in front of. And what I like to think of is the fact that your obstacles at first prevented you, and now those obstacles are actually making you go. And for example, I like to use this example as, as a mother. When you first start, no, not me as a mother. I'm LGBT. But
I'm pretty sure mothers can relate to this in the sense that they couldn't go at first to college because of their kids. But now, they're going to school because of their kids. So that first obstacle was preventing them to go, and now it's that same obstacles that are making them go. And that's why and even if you guys don't have any kids whatsoever, the fact that you guys, yeah, me too. The fact that you guys are in Phi Theta Kappa means that you guys wanted to match the expectations that Phi Theta Kappans have to excel at and have to meet. And so you guys decided on that frontier and decided, yeah, I'm gonna go beyond what a community college student is. I'm gonna be a community college and a Phi Theta Kappa. So.
Backtracking back to our action step, one of the initiatives that we took is a triad buddy step system. Now, when we tried about Tower, we're going back to Michael McCarthy's speech. Having a odd number of people works better for a system. For a group of 3 is large enough to prevent deadlock and small enough to be personal. The way that the system will work is that we follow the No Child Left Behind objective. We hold each student accountable with each other and kind of they sound like a coping with each other, helping them to keep on track. An example is like if a child's missing class consecutively, a student's able to take him out and say, oh, what's going on, able to fix the problem on their own. This way, a student goes through a weekly academic checkpoint and evaluation on a personal level, and at the same time, they're able to create a support system and help them succeed in college.